But how? So can see if I understand it correctly. You do your traditional recording, and if you want to capture the binaural data, whatever you want to call it, you would use those ambisonic mic, and then you would still do it in Pro Tools, for example. But as you said, you would then export it to the assets in whatever uh, developer kit, whatever you want to call it, you're using, like Unreal. Is that how it's
Yeah.
done?
Yeah. So
Right.
in Pro Tools and in Reaper, a few of the other doors, you can work you can use ambisonic tracks. Um,
I didn't know that.
so yeah, so I mean ambisonics for those who don't know, it's a very useful way of capturing a 3D recording from a single point. So you put up an ambisonic
Mm.
microphone in a room, and it will it will pick up very precise 3D recording from all around. So in front of you, above you, below
Right.
you, behind you. Um,
Yeah, I
and
never
then
worked with a mic like that, so I never experienced them actually. But is it just
yeah, it's. I mean that again. That's another example. I mean that technology's been around since the mid 70s. It
oh yeah,
came.
yeah.
It was invented by a guy called Michael Curzon out of Oxford University. Um, and yeah, this is the mid 70s, and it's only more recently with things like VR where someone worked out, oh wow, that's actually quite useful for VR. We can use this ambisonic technology.
Mm.
Unfortunately, Michael Curzon isn't around, and I don't think he hasn't been around for a while, so he never would have seen his invention, if you like, being, I wouldn't say mass adopted yet, but it's definitely finding a home now.
That's cool.
Whereas when he invented it in the mid 70s, it was really, really like even more niche than now. It was there were ambisonic microphones available. I think Cowrick came out with one
Mm.
in the mid 70s, and Abbey Road actually did it. Well, Abbey Road were early adopters of ambisonics, but and there's still a couple of those old Cowrick at Abbey Road, like serial number 3 and 4 or something crazy.
Cool.
But it just never found a home. It wasn't. I mean, I think the record industry tried to make quad a success around that time, so adding a rear, left, and right speaker.
Right.
And most famously, Dark Side of the Moon was mixed by Alan Parsons in quad. But
Mm.
people just weren't ready for it. There were a few commercial releases in the quad format, and I'm sure they sold a few quad systems, but it wasn't like mass adopted, and it was a bit of a failure. It sort of died a death really, and so it wasn't the best time for someone else to come out with this other format saying, "Ta-da! Look what I've done," and the record
Yeah.
labels were probably like, "Well, no, we're all right, thanks." So yeah, that's just another example of someone being way ahead of their time, I think.
Mm.
Anyway, so Amazonics has kind of found a home now, and doors like Reaper and Pro Tools have got ambisonic tracks,
Right.
ambisonic channels, if you like. So it's kind of finding a home.
Mm.
And being used to great effect in gaming and in virtual reality.
But so, what's the end product? Do you, or do artists have to release the music as a game for people to be able to listen to this? Because I guess it won't be. It's not something you would stream on Spotify, right?
Well, I mean, no, not necessarily on Spotify yet.
Mm.
But there's examples of ambisonics on YouTube.
Right. And that's still
Um,
good.
you, yeah, you can upload first order ambisonics onto YouTube, which is 4 channels,
Right.
and head tracked and all that. So you may have seen some videos where you can on YouTube where you can use the mouse and pan the image around,
Mm.
and the audio pans around kind of with it. And as you kind of move your head, the audio it's kind of all head tracked and
Mm.
follows an experience of what it would be like in the real world.
Right.
But in terms of how does the end user experience it, I mean, yeah, there's platforms like the Steam platform and Oculus platform, where you put on your headset, and you can find these cool experiences, in within their world. And apps, even like there's all
Mm.
sorts of ways of releasing this stuff.
Right. So
So
it's a bit
yeah, I
about the
mean,
artist having to think a bit outside the traditional way of releasing the music, I guess, too, right?
yeah, I mean, this is all kind of ties in slightly, but I mean, there's binaural stuff on Spotify if you look hard enough.
Right.
I think Kraftwerk definitely released a box set, and there's some they call them 3D headphone mixes, I think.
Right.
I mean, it's not all head tracked and all that sort of stuff, but you still get that kind of out of head experience. And then it's obviously things like Dolby Atmos over headphones now. The Sony 360 Reality over headphones. That's all done. That's via an app on your phone, for example. So it's out there. There's ways of experiencing this 3D audio, not only through game engines, but also things like Dolby Atmos and all that sort of stuff. Right. Sound bars as well, of course. So there's the Amazon Echo studio speaker that's got Dolby Atmos. So that's a way of hearing sound beyond stereo, but it's from a single unit, if you like.